So now let me give you the $1 million deal, which is, how is slavery such an awesome thing, if it's slavery to Allah? You know, in this world, there is a concept which I like to call cool by association. Cool by association is that if you hang out with cool people, you become what? You become cool by association. You yourselves are not cool at all. But because you're hanging out with cool people, you give the impression that, okay, you're a cool person as well. Imagine in O-levels or A-levels or high school, whatever, if there is some cool, in the case of boys, bhaijans in the school, or in the case of girls, bajis in the school, if you hang out with them, who are known in the university or the school as being the cool people, then if you simply hang out with them, rub shoulders with them, then by default you become cool as well. And if you tell people, I'm hanging out with those girls there, they're like, really? Seriously? Yeah, of course. Look, I'll wave them and they'll wave back. Hey, and they're like, oh. And they're like, wow, you seriously know them. And maybe you don't know them, you just waved and they just waved back. But you become cool by association, and everyone looks up to you now, not because you have any value, but because they have value. And so you have become cool by association. So this is like a common thing. And when I was teaching business research a few years ago, we came through a case study done by Lee's jeans. There's Levi's and then there's Lee's. And Lee jeans, what they basically did was, in the 1970s or 80s, they began to be known as mom and pop jeans, meaning that these are the kind of jeans that parents would wear. So they were a bit baggy and so on. So they became known as jeans that maybe parents would wear. So the kids weren't wearing those jeans. Kids were wearing Levi's and other Wrangler or maybe a few other brands. So what happened was Lee had to change their image completely. So they rebranded themselves, the logo changed, they did a few things here and there. They changed some of the stitching on their jeans as well. And they made them a bit trendy. And then now, because the impression was so bad that if somebody found out, oh, so you're wearing Lee jeans, oh, mom and pop jeans, you became uncool automatically. Just by wearing Lee jeans, you became uncool. So what they did was, they did something phenomenal. And they went to universities and colleges and schools and high schools and all that. And they investigated for 6 months who are the coolest people in each given university. So they sent their representatives to put up a stall somewhere, and they found out through word of mouth and chatter and things like that, who are the coolest people in school. And so they identified like maybe 5 boys and 5 girls who everybody respected, even though they had bad behavior or whatever, but they were looked up to as cool people. So they identified them in different schools and colleges across the US. And finally what they did was, after 6 months of observation, they finally gifted these students 5 pair of jeans each. Blue, dark blue, black, grey, whatever. And so what happened was, because it was a gift and now they started wearing them, Lee jeans became like the coolest thing in town. Because the cool kids were wearing it, so now everybody else said, oh, did you know that they're wearing Lee jeans? Lee jeans, really? Seriously? Oh, okay, so everybody started buying Lee jeans. So it happens that you have an effect when you influence a certain aspect of society, then others follow. Some people are born leaders, are natural leaders, others simply follow along. So that's what we call cool by association. Why am I mentioning all of this? Imagine, if you are associated to the president of Pakistan or the prime minister, you're like, sorry? No, nobody would know it. But in the government sphere, for example, if you're going past like a police checkpost and they stop you and you say to them, do you know who I am? And the guy says, no, I don't know. And you say, I am, and you pull out a card and say, I am the secretary to the president. Like, ooh. And he automatically, because of the power that you have, he becomes shocked and he like salutes you and lets you go. Likewise, if you're in the armed forces and they stop you at a checkpost, even if you're in like civil uniform or civil clothing, they say, stop the car, get out, let me check your license. He's like, do you know who I am? I am Major so-and-so. He's like, sir, salute, and then you go. Because why? Because of your association to the armed forces. Because of your association to the president or the prime minister. Because of your association to the chief of police. If you say, do you know who I am? I am the advisor to the president. I am the advisor to the general. I am the advisor to so-and-so. So you are not the president, you are not the general, but you're an advisor. Or you work in his office or whatever. So just by that virtue alone, they let you go because of your association. Now tell me something, if you are associated with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that they stop you at a checkpost and you say, do you know who I am? I am a slave of Allah. Abduhu. I am a slave of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. then obviously that might mean absolutely nothing in the streets, but that has huge implications on your character and in the hereafter. Because you walk around like someone who is part of the clan of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, what we call Hizbullah or Hizbur Rahman. They are the party of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You know, in the mafia, not that I've ever been in part of a mafia, never been that bad, but when you're part of a mafia and they protect you, and oftentimes I've seen this behind like a bumper sticker behind cars, protected by mafia or something like that. So if you're part of a gang or a big mafia, in the Italian mafia what they would do is like the typical Godfather situation is when someone from the mafia is introducing a new person to the gang, he would say, he's a friend of mine. Or he would say, he's a friend of ours. If he says he's a friend of mine, this is a signal that kill him. That once we're done with the meeting, kill this person. I couldn't care less. And if he says he's a friend of ours, then it means that he's to be respected. Because when he says he's a friend of mine, it means he's a friend of mine but not of yours. So when he's introducing someone to the mob by saying, hey, meet Tony, he's a friend of mine, that means kill Tony as soon as this meeting is over. And if he says, hey, meet Tony, he's a friend of ours, it means he's a friend of ours. He's our friend, he's part of the mafia, he's not going to be a snitch on us, he's not going to do this, so he's part of the gang. So when you say, I'm Abdullah, I'm a slave of Allah, then automatically you become not just cool, you become like ultra cool by association. Because now you're not associating yourself to any human being, you're associating yourself to the one who has power over all things. La hawla wa la quwwata illa billah. The one who is al-qawi. So that itself is a great honor for us, just to be in that category. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala defines them as Ibadur Rahman, the slaves of the most merciful. And what are their attributes, what are their qualities? That when they walk on the earth, they walk with gentleness and humility. And they pray their prayers, they give their zakah, and how they are the slaves of Allah. And these are certain qualities because it is a litmus test for us to compare ourselves with, do I have those qualities? Do I even fall in the category of Ibadur Rahman? And so this is something that we can keep testing ourselves on. So when you become a slave of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, it is one of the most beautiful things. And the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, who was the best of mankind, wanted to be known with the same title. So this is what we understand to be the purpose of life. Now if you want to become a doctor, an engineer, a psychologist, no problem. But first things first, you have to be a slave of Allah. If you become a doctor or a psychologist or an engineer, yet you are not a slave of Allah, then technically you have failed your purpose in life. If I was to take a matchbox and I was to dip it in a glass of water for 5 minutes, what's the purpose of a matchbox, by the way? To light a fire. The purpose of a matchbox is to light a fire. Otherwise it's pretty useless. Now if I dip it in water and take it out, now will it fulfill its purpose? No, it won't. Now you can take that matchstick and you can make matchstick men out of it, or you can make some small little house out of that, you can do some creative stuff. But that was not the purpose of the matchbox. The purpose was to light a fire, and now although you are doing many other things with it, but the purpose of that thing has died, it's gone.
When I say if you're a doctor, you're basically saving lives and
Yes.
helping people. So that doesn't mean that you're not doing anything for God.
Right. The thing is, you have to do it for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Like for example, let me give you an example. If I am hired by a company, there's building A and there's building B. I'm hired by building A to work for me for a month, and they will give me a salary of 1 lakh rupees. And then I don't show up to work once, rather I keep working for building B for 1 whole month. At the end of the month, I go back to building A and I say, look, I've been working, give me my salary. They will do what with me? They'll kick me out or slap my face or something like that, right? Because they'll be like, okay, you were working, but not for us. You were working for somebody else. So on the day of judgment, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will say to those people who did righteous good deeds apparently, but not for Allah. He will say, seek reward from whosoever you did it for. You did it for yourself, go seek reward from yourself. But on that day, nobody will be able to reward you except Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Some people did it for maybe a prophet or a saint or something like that. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala say, go and ask them. Let's see if they have something today. So the thing is, your intentions have to be for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, otherwise our deeds become useless. So the purpose is, you can do anything you like, anything you want to get into, inshallah that's fine, as long as you remember that I'm a slave of Allah and I can never disobey Him. And so I should try my level best. Even then you will make mistakes, no problem. I should try to keep, even if I make mistakes, I get back up, I try to do righteousness after that point. So that's what we understand. So just like a matchbox would fail its purpose, in the same way human beings can fail their purpose in this life as well.